So what we're going to do this morning is get in the cold plunge. Cold water therapy is very, very, very good for you, but I understand that it's cold water and nobody usually gets in cold water by their own choice. But once you understand that it's extremely good for your body, extremely good for your mind, and extremely good for your motivation and willpower to do something that's difficult because it's good for you, then that's what keeps you doing it. In the world of sport, footballers, rugby players, any sport you can possibly imagine where they use their muscles to do their sport, they need to recover their muscles. So cold water therapy is something that is done throughout the sport industry and throughout the health industry because there is genuine medical and scientific benefits to plunging yourself in cold water. Now, there are different ways you can get in the cold water: a shower, a cold bath, swimming in the sea if you're nearby, a cold plunge, which is a little kind of paddling pool, if you like, that you can just jump in and jump out of. And some of the hardcore people have freezers that they've adapted, filled full of water, sealed the freezer, and they get in there because they can get the temperature of the water lower than, say, a cold plunge or the water that comes out of your shower. Now, how I would recommend you starting this is all in your head. It's, I am going to do this. It's not a case of, oh, I'll do it another day. Oh, well, I don't really want to. Oh, well, it's cold. You know, when you get in a swimming pool, for example, that when you first get in there, it's cold and then your body acclimatizes to it. So has the temperature in the cold plunge or the swimming pool, has the temperature changed? No, it hasn't. But you feel the temperature different after you spent a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes in there because your body's got used to it. It's exactly the same with a shower, exactly the same with swimming in the sea, exactly the same with a cold plunge. It's about getting your mind used to the fact that it's happening to you. Now, what's happening when you first get into cold water? Your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Before you get in there, like right now, I am warm and my body doesn't think there's anything alarming going on. The second I then submerge myself in cold water, your body has a drastic change in its environment and your brain then tells your body, get out, because your body's job is to survive. So if you quickly subject itself to a drastic change in temperature, your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And that's where you have to be thankful that your body's doing that. It would be quite worrying if your body didn't do that. So with a drastic change in temperature, your heart rate increases, your breathing increases, because you need to adapt to the new environment, which in cold water is usually get out of the cold water. Your body doesn't know that whether it's fallen through the ice or whether you are doing it on purpose for the benefits it can give you. So your body will react in the same way. The same way you have the fight or flight mechanism where you either get stuck in or you run away through adrenaline being released by your brain. Same type of thing. So once you start to understand exactly what's happening when you put yourself in the cold water, you can pay attention to that and you can actually learn to kind of tune out of it, or at least be comfortable with being uncomfortable. When you're in cold water, your brain is screaming lots of different things in your head, believe me. Even in my head, and I'm going to go get in the cold plunge shortly, my brain is screaming at me, get out, get out, get out, it's cold. What are you doing? And then your body might also start to shiver. And again, that's a natural response to cold water because you have been subjected yourself to a cold temperature. Your body's natural reaction is to move to warm yourself up. And that moving to warm yourself up comes in the form of shivering. Now, what you need to do is just accept what is happening. Accept that you're only going to be in the cold shower for a minute. You're only going to be in the cold plunge for 30 seconds. And then you can get yourself out and you can dry yourself off and you can warm yourself up. It's always the step of overcoming what's in your head to get yourself to do something physically, a bit like going to the gym. You've got to push yourself to get there, but also a bit like the gym, you're not going to see instant response, benefits from doing it. It takes time. You can't just pick up one weight in the gym and now you've got massive arms. It takes time to get there. Same with cold water. Let's touch on briefly about the benefits of cold water and why you do such a thing. Now, your body is submersed in cold water, so your body is in shock, which is why your brain screams at you, and that is interpreted by your body of getting out, a increased heart rate and increased breathing, and you want to get out. That's natural and that's normal. Once you realize that once you're in the water, that your breathing and your heart rate is your body's natural reaction, you can almost say thank you to it in your head, and you can just allow whatever's happening, i.e. the sensations that you're feeling all around your body, which is being sent back to your brain to give you information about your surroundings, so whether you decide to get in or stay out, but you know you haven't just fallen through the ice. So you know you can get out at any point you want, and you know that you're in absolutely no danger whatsoever because it's in a safe environment, the water temperature's not cold enough to hurt you. So that's where you have to say thank you to your body, switch your brain to a mode where you're like, thank you for this. You can still feel everything that's happening, obviously, but it's then where your brain takes over and you kind of ignore what is happening to your body because you know you are safe. And that will in turn will allow you to control your breathing, bring your heart rate down, and adapt to that shock. Now, adapting to the shock in cold water will enable you to bring your heart rate down on a daily basis, i.e. you lower your heart rate. Now, when your heart beats only a certain amount of times in your life and you're lowering that beat, technically you're going to live longer. Obviously, there's a lot of other things that can control that, but you are teaching you are living longer, and you're teaching yourself to deal with shock. And that's not just cold water, it's a shock of anything and everything that can make your heart rate go up, can make you anxious, can make you angry. You are dealing with that shock. So if you have anxiety in your life, if you have depression, if you have fears, if you have worries, they all come about through the same type of system where cold water can really, really help you there. So anxiety, depression, sleep is a massive one as well that it will really, really help you with. Also, cold water will kickstart, or not kickstart, but help release cortisol into your brain, which is a form of energy, if you like. When our brains release adenosine to send us to sleep, when you wake up, your brain releases cortisol to rid the adenosine, which has put you into sleep. And you can now function throughout the day. Adenosine is then slowly released back into your brain. So then when you get to the end of the day, you naturally fall asleep. Now, people bypass this, bypass the natural cortisol by going straight to the coffee. You don't want to be doing that. You want to be realizing exactly what your body is doing. It's releasing cortisol. Let it do what it's got to do. So if you're a coffee drinker in the morning, you need to be waiting about an hour before you have coffee, because the cortisol needs to do what it needs to do, and you're bypassing it through caffeine. Cortisol can also be released through cold water. So waking yourself up in the morning, you go straight to the coffee. You could go straight to the cold plunge, straight to the cold shower. It will wake you up and see you through to about midday, where the cortisol levels will drop, the adenosine will come back in, and then maybe you go to the caffeine. So yeah, of course it's easy, just go with a hot coffee, but caffeine itself, there's addiction stuff with that. Adenosine receptors can, or your body will need to make more adenosine receptors, meaning you need more caffeine. This is why you're drinking cups of coffee all day, every day. It's all linked, and it's very, very difficult to explain it in kind of one video. But cold water will help with anxiety, depression, lower your heart rate, help with sleep, help with mood. It's also going to help with your willpower and motivation, because if you're putting yourself in cold water and in difficult situations, then that takes willpower to do it. So that's 10 minutes of me kind of talking about it. You can, by all means, I expect you to get yourself on the web and have a look at all the different benefits of cold water, and it'll maybe give you an idea, maybe give you the motivation to do such a thing. Now, you don't have to go, well, I'm going to do this temperature and this timing. For me, it's, are you doing something to push yourself? Are you just having that hot shower and not even bothering to turn it down just a little bit? Whether it's all the way down or whether it's just a little bit down, so you know that there's cold water hitting you. And then you can decrease the temperature, you can increase the time you do it for, and slowly but surely you'll start to see the effects that it gives you by doing such a thing. So I'm now going to go get in the cold plunge. The way I like to do it, and I appreciate when people first get in, they're like, or just get out. It's always a battle with your head. And it's always a case of you've got to motivate yourself to do it because you realize how beneficial it's going to be to you. But it's not easy to do it. I get that. So you can get in slow, one little bit at a time, accustom yourself to it. If it's a cold shower, just kind of walk into the cold, walk back out, walk back into the cold, walk back out, turn the temperature up, turn the temperature down, stay for a little bit longer. Push yourself. As long as you know you're pushing yourself, then that's all that really matters, really. So I'm going to show you how I get in a cold plunge, which is just to get in and deal with what is happening. So I'm going to go get in a cold plunge now. I'm just going to walk outside now, actually. So I'm going to get in the cold plunge now, and I'm going to try and talk you through how I deal with it in my head. Now, people deal with it in different ways, absolutely, but I'm going to talk about how I deal with it in my head. So here is my cold plunge. That's just full of water from hose pipe and just filled it up in there. It is January, so it's a little bit cold outside, and naturally the water is fairly cold, I guess. It's certainly not as hot as a hot shower. So we're going to get in there now. Recommend about 11 minutes per week. So if you could do one minute, 2 minutes a day, then that's all you really need to do. So I'm going to get in here for until I feel comfortable. So you can kind of have a look at how I react to the cold water, and I'll try and talk through it as well. So, but when I first get in, I need to concentrate on my breathing. You can, before, if you want to get in, control your breathing, and many different ways to control your breathing. Wim Hof, obviously, people know about Wim Hof. Many different ways to control your breathing. But what I like to do is I just get in there and deal with my breathing once I'm in there. You can do it beforehand and slowly get in, each their own, horses for courses. So I'm just going to get in and show you how I deal with it. Let's move this forward a little bit. Right. So remember, it's just cold water. You can get out at any point you want to get out, and you can just walk inside and warm yourself up. You're not in the ocean. Same with the shower, you can get in, get out. This is how I get in, so let's just do it. So instantly your brain is screaming at you, it's cold, it's cold. You can probably hear from my breathing, it's not completely settled. And I wouldn't normally be talking either. Every part of your body you can feel is cold. Make sure you get your shoulders under, a bit like a swimming pool. Once your shoulders are under, that's actually how you feel warmest. And you can just sit in here for a little bit. Control your breathing. If you do start to shiver, then try and just focus on, you're okay, it's just cold water, you can get out at any point you want, Try and push yourself. Hello, Pop. Try and push yourself to stay a little bit longer, but there's always an element of safety in this. It does take time to get used to not just one cold plunge, but many. Why are you sniffing me? You want to get in? Your body shivering is a natural response to the environment change around you. So your body might start shaking to literally warm yourself up. Your body's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Sitting in cold water is different to shower because the water's constantly hitting you from different angles. Whereas in like something like this, you can actually relax into it. And people put music on, or you can just close your eyes. And just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You can get out at any point you want. And dry yourself off. Get in the house, even getting yourself in a hot shower. One thing I will say is for people who are not used to this, your hands and feet will get colder before anything else. You can buy like neoprene gloves and socks, like wetsuit material, and that's actually how I first started off. I put socks and gloves on my hands and feet because they were the ones that were causing me the most issues, the most pain, if you like. And then slowly over time, you just decrease the temperature, increase the time, and take off bits and bobs that are on your body. As far as I'm aware, there's no real benefit to staying in cold water for really, really extended periods of time. Like if you stayed in here for like 20 minutes, you'd actually get the same benefit as a few minutes. That's actually the real science behind it. You don't need to stay in there for long periods of time. That will just be a battle that you have in your own head. But you have to understand the downside to it as well, which is your body is going to need to rewarm afterwards. And in really low temperatures, that's something you need to learn about. So what's that been? A few minutes. When you start to move around, you start to feel cold again because you're circulating the cold away from, well, your body's heating the water around you, and you're now moving, so you then will feel cold again. So we'll get out in a minute. But as you can see by this video, it's like you can do this or you cannot do this. It's always about how much you're willing to push yourself for what is actually beneficial to your body, extremely beneficial to your mind. And let's be honest, in a world that is telling you that real health comes from other things, this is my motivation. Because yeah, it's not the most comfortable, and it certainly isn't when you first get in. Your brain does scream at you, and yeah, it does get easier over time. But in a world that tells you that health is something completely different, and I don't want to listen to what the world tells me is real health, this is why I do this. So that's been a few minutes, so now we'll get out, dry ourselves off, and get on with the day. And once you've done that, you should feel a genuine boost of energy shortly after, and that can stop you needing your coffee, give you a little bit of a boost, but also give you a bit of a mental boost as well, because doing something like this And it's not that easy. And fair play to anyone who does do it. All right. Whew. So I've just done that and had some cold water, and I'll get the benefits from it. So when are you gonna do it?